Even for the medicinal science, sleep is absolutely ununderstandable. If they try to experiment into the sleeping man and wants to penetrate into him, he will wake up. So sleep is inaccessible for the medicinal objective sciences. It can only be approached, if at all, by our own consciousness, without any external gadget or objective experimentation. So, dehendriya suhridayani charanti. So the dream is gone. We cannot enter there. Sleep also we cannot enter. So the only state available to us for concurrent examination is the wakefulness. And in the wakefulness what happens? Deha, the body, Indriya, the senses, Asu, the life forces, prana, breath, Hridayani, the mind, intelligence, etc., Charanti. They are moving, they are swinging into action, they are activated and propelled. Yena, by which? See, my eyes are seeing, my ears are hearing, my nose is smelling, my tongue is tasting, and my skin is touching. If you analyze it, you will find, I am the seeing. I see, I hear, I smell, I touch, and I taste. So the activating source is the same. That source or causeless cause, which is activating the body, the senses, the life forces, the prana, everything, mind. That also is the same thing he says. So he has described the supreme reality, the causeless cause, in 3 different levels. One, he has related it to the world. Then he comes back to the Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti, 3 mental states in the human being. And out of these 3, he leaves 2, dream and sleep. And he traces only the wakefulness. And then he wants you to go into and find out what is the source which activates all the bodily activities, mental activities, sensory activities, pranic activities. That Sanjivitani Davehi Param Narendra. Whatever is activating your body, your human personality at all the different levels, sensory levels, oral levels, mento-intellectual levels, that itself is the supreme reality, he says. What do you have to say now? Just see, we were discussing devotion and devotee characteristics. From there, Sreemad Bhagavatam takes you to your own personality, self-examination, analysis. Sanjivitani tadavehi param narendra. O great king, whatever is there within your body in the waking state itself, activating all the different organs, externally, internally, that itself is the supreme reality. Do not think that there are 2. The entire world is a product and an outcome, a creation of your wakefulness. Wakefulness is only one of the 3 states that you have. And these three states, when analyzed properly, what are you finding? The world is emerging in waking state. And the same world is subsiding in sleep state. And while you are lying asleep, your mind produces a dream world completely parallel to the waking world. So you understand that the consciousness or your mind has got the potential to give rise to a wonderful infinite world, exactly similar to what you see in the waking state. There is no difference at all. There also Panchabhutas are there, a number of cities are there. You are sometimes going to Washington, Delhi or Mumbai in dream. Those cities are not different from what you see in the waking state. And when you are dreaming, you are actually not dreaming. It is just like a wakeful experience. Only when it breaks, you say it was a dream. During its prevalence and occurrence, it was not a dream at all. From there you understand your mind or the inner consciousness has got ample and abundant capacity to create even gross matter and the material world as a whole. Now what should be your focus? Your focus should be to understand that the world does not have any independent existence. It can exist only as a byproduct of your wakefulness. And the wakefulness itself is not constantly present. that terminates into sleep. And sleep terminates sometimes into dream. Or without dream, it wakes up again. And all the three are caused and witnessed, generated and preserved by the Antaratma. This Antaratma is the only source of the whole universe also. Shankara has written many compositions. Some of them are in the form of hymns. Hymns means a kind of a stotra, something in the way of an adoration. So he has written a Dakshinamurti stotra. It is considered to be a complete jnana hymn. So he praises Dakshinamurti. The concept of Dakshinamurti is that Dakshina, the word Dakshina means, you know what it means? It means Pradibha, Dhishana Shaktihi, the power, splendor and brilliance of human intelligence. That is called Dakshina. That Dakshina is embodied in the form of Dakshinamurti. Of all the things that he has got a writing pen, a steel pen, and also a grantha, an ancient grantha in the form of leafy pages. When does a man begin to write? He begins to write when there is a lot of knowledge filling in his brain. When knowledge starts overflowing, he becomes a speaker or a writer. I was young, obviously, as everyone was. I was a little shy also in my young days. I have never taken up anything like leadership anywhere. I used to sometimes feel that whenever somebody was speaking or showing anything, something like a feat, I used to feel I can also do it. It was only a feeling, I have never tried it. After getting initiated by my Gurudev in Calcutta, I was very earnest in doing my sadhana, it was in the form of a meditation. And in about a year's time, as I perhaps mentioned to you also earlier, I started reading Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, the Prakarana Granthas, some of the biographies of sages and the like. Then I had always a flair for sannyasa. If I look into myself, I find right from young age, my body was born in a village which is not very far away from Kaladi, the birthplace of Shankaracharya. So Shankaracharya's story, anecdotes and all those, they were very familiar for us. We used to speak about them, delight in them. So I had three basic influences in me. One is Sri Rama, and Sri Rama's truthfulness and sacrifice. He was very truthful and he was highly sacrificing also. He sacrificed the kingdom. The moment Kaigeyi told him, you have to go to the forest for 14 years, he instantly said, before the sun sets today, Rama will have gone from Ayodhya. I was immensely struck by it. And he later on abandoned his Sita also, for the sake of upholding the purity of his dynasty. All these are brilliant and glorious sacrifices, unparalleled. But he was not a very happy person perhaps, because his life was like that. Without Sita, without kingdom, etc., he had to live. When I looked into Krishna, he was always playing his flute, and cows were attracted, deer were attracted, birds were attracted to him. And every time he was smiling and smiling and smiling. You don't know of an occasion when Krishna shed tears or was unhappy. So I felt Rama was great, and he was great for his sacrifice and truthfulness. But poor Rama was missing something in life. But Sri Krishna seems to be missing nothing. He was delightful and he was also delighting others. When he was in Vrindavan, the cows were happy. The entire Vraja settlement was happy. When he came to Mathura, all the people around him were happy, everywhere. And what did he do? He performed mighty tasks. The sole purpose of Krishna's life was to relieve the earth of the excess wicked burden. I think Krishna must have destroyed about 10 crores of people. 10 crores of people. Can you imagine? And he was very happy. He lived for 125 years. 120 is the allotted span, 5 years more, with no problem. And Brahma and the others came and entreated, appealed to him that you should come back. He said, yes, I also know. But I will destroy my family who will otherwise be proud and then come back, he said. So everywhere, as a young boy, I did not know all the story, but I knew this much, that Krishna was a very happy person and he was also delighting the others. So this was another influence. I want to be happy and cheerful, whatever it may be, and I would like to make people also cheerful. Then the third influence I had was Shankara, the only child of his mother, and that too a widowed mother. Very young he was. Still he decided to leave his mother and go in search of the supreme truth. Where? To the banks of Narmada in Gujarat. All the way walking. Having met Govindapada, his guru, he must have been initiated by him, and the spiritual entry into his own bosom, his own heart, that must have taken place. And to fulfill the desire and command of his guru, he started walking up and down the country, meeting all the scholars of the time, and established Sanatana Dharma. Prasthanatrayam became popular, became known only after Shankara's Bhashya. I was very much impressed by this. And Shankara was a sannyasi. And throughout his writings he upholds and exhorts all people to take up sannyasa. This sannyasa also I had a flair. Why I mentioned all this? This Shankara has written quite a number of praises. Praising Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, Lord Skanda Kartikeya, similarly Devi, etc., etc. So many verses. In all of them you will find a unique touch of spiritual wisdom and spiritual philosophical message. Dakshinamurti Stotram is one important item in that. Very few people read it properly and very few people can explain it. But it's a full grantha by itself. Balyadishwapi jagradadishu tatha sarvasvavastasvapi vyavrittasvanuvartamanahamit sada swatmanam pragadhikaroti bhajatam yo mudraya bhadraya tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye namayidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. I think this contains primarily 8 verses. All of them are explaining the supreme truth. This particular verse I thought of reciting before you only because of its relevance to the discussion of Sreemad Bhagavatam. Sthityudbhava pralaya hedura hedurasya yatswapna jagara sushuptishu sadbehischa dehendriyasu hridayani charanti yena sanjivitani tadavehi param narendra. It is by way of its explanation that I told you all about Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti, and the I, a reference that you constantly make, the undying nature of it, the constant witness nature of it, etc. See what Shankara says in this. Balyadishwabi jagradadishu tatha sarvasvavasthasvabi balyadishwabi. Our body right from birth undergoes a number of stages. The first stage is Balya, then Kaumara, Yavana, Vardhakya, Balyadishwabi. So the bodily states from young age, as a bala, a child, childhood. From there moving on to adolescence, etc. Similarly, the mind also undergoes 3 states. What are they? Jagradadishu tatha. Wakefulness, thereafter sleep, sometimes dream, and then again wakefulness. Sarvasvavasthasvabi. Even in wakefulness, you have different plights and fates. Sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are agitated, sometimes we are miserable, sometimes there is confusion, delusion, indecision, intolerance, jealousy, So many states are there for the mind and for the intelligence. Sarvasvavasthasvavi. In all these avasthas, changing states, vyavrittasvanuvartamanam. There was something that was constantly acting as a substratum. A child was born from the mother's womb, and the body of the child was in Shaishava, a Shishutva. And from the Shishutva it went to Balya. From Balya it transited into Kaumara. From Kaumara it transited into Yavana. While these transitions took place in the bodily level, do you think that I also transited? No.